Hello, we are Group 17. I am Kamron. My groupmates are Akifa and Shubrata. Our topic is analysis of fingerprint matching system in biometric. Biometric system is an automatic identification and authentication system that uses biological traits including fingerprint, facial recognition, DNA matching, iris, behavioral pattern. It is gradually replacing typical ID scanner, password, username with irreplicable data that are unique to individuals. Fingerprint biometric system has high accuracy and matching speed, reducing cost and saving time. Although fingerprint biometric system has security and vulnerability issues as well, and these vulnerabilities issues mainly cause of system vulnerabilities that attracts many threats. These threats lead to a hazardous security attacks such as DOS attack, side channel leakage, Trojan horse attack, and so on. In our topic, we'll discuss about analysis of fingerprint authentication system, analysis on types of fingerprints, security of fingerprint matching techniques, implementation of comprehensive fingerprint matching with Python. Fingerprint biometric system has two major factors, biometric enrollment and biometric matching. The following picture on left side is showing biometric enrollment procedures where a sensor is used to get the required data and the data processing starts. Later, specific data are being extracted and a template is being generated using the particular data and stored into the database. In biometric recognition, data is collected from the database and we check generated template with the previous template and we identify the authenticity. Our main focus will be fingerprint type biometric. Fingerprint data is unique and it cannot be changed over time as username or passwords. It's becoming more and more popular in smartphones and other devices. So here storing template must follow some criteria which are stored template must not reverse the original biometric data. Variation in matching should be considerable. User privacy is the most important factor. Without users' consent, encrypted template from one database should not be used in another database for a specific user. Impacts of security breaching and vulnerability. Biometric fingerprint security breach and vulnerabilities are being generated from threats. Threat agent, threat vectors, and system vulnerabilities are the common ground that cause security breaching. Anyone who is unauthorized to access in biometric fingerprint system is known as threat agent. It can be an attacker or an adversary. Combination of all sort of attack that can hamper fingerprint biometric system is called threat vector. Any sort of system component and insecure communication channel among these components can cause the attack, and it's also originated because of design flaw of the system. In the following picture, we can see different types of adversaries and administrative fraudulent can be done through the biometric input devices and that leads to DOS attack. During extraction of data, Trojan horse attack can be initiated and in template generating process side channel attack might be occurred and so on. The diagram shows overall attack scenario of the fingerprint biometric system. Here are some list of attacks. The adversary executes a direct attack by presenting the biometric characteristic of a registered user to a sensing device to access the system as authorized. The indirect attack expects the attacker to have an expertise in biometric system. In order to mount an indirect attack, the adversary must know the internal of the target machines and its component. The person directly involved in this type of attack can be an imposter or an authorized user. The authorized user can unknowingly leave behind the traces of his fingerprint in daily routine. The adversary uses the fingerprint traces to generate fake fingerprint using spoofing or constructing a mold of lifting latent fingerprint to mount the attack. An attempt to regenerate fingerprint image from a stolen template is also example of covert acquisition attack. The sensor attacks define how an attacker can grant access to the system with manipulating biometric submission to the sensor. The stolen or fake fingerprint submission to a biometric system is termed as spoofing attack. Altered fingerprints are real fingerprint used to conceal one's identity to evade identification by a biometric system. Obfuscation can be defined as a deliberate attempt to an individual to mask his identity from a biometric system by altering the biometric trait prior to its acquisition by the system. For example, mutilating the reach of one's fingerprint using abrasive material. Akifa will discuss the next part.
Thanks, Kamrun. Well, I will be talking about the types of fingerprints, its strength, weakness, contribution, and future work. The fingerprint pattern, such as the print left when an ink finger is pressed onto paper, is that of the friction ridges on the particular finger. Friction ridge patterns are grouped into three distinct types: loops, whorls, arches. Let me show you a clear picture of these types. So loops are prints that recurve back themselves to form a loop shape. Arches create a wave-like pattern and include plain arches and tented arches. Whorls form a circular they form a circular or spiral pattern like tiny whirlpools. After these three basic shapes, these shapes and contours were later subdivided into 8 basic patterns and are used by the FBI till today. So these are the subcategories that has been divided from the basic 3 shapes. From this picture, as we can see, that arches were subdivided into 2 basic categories: plain arch and tented arch. Loops were divided into 3 basic subcategories: ulnar loop, radial loop, and double loop. Same goes for whorl, plain whorl, central packet loop whorl, and accidental whorl. Here is an interesting fact I wanted to let you know, that there are people in this world without fingerprint, and this is identified as a rare disease known as adermatoglyphia. They do not have fingerprints from birth. Affecting only 4 known extended families worldwide, the condition is also called immigration delay disease, since lack of fingerprints make it difficult for people to cross international borders. Strengths. The system makes the authentication, the system means the whole biometric system, makes the authentication process quick and easy. However, it has other advantages as well. They are high security. Fingerprints biometric provides much more security than password and ID cards because you don't need to remember anything here. It's unique to every individual and does not change over time. It's user-friendly, simple to use, saves a lots of time rather than remembering a password or typing a password. They are non-transferable, meaning user has to be present in person to authenticate, and it is not shareable by any means. Accountability. Fingerprint recognition has high accountability as one cannot deny his or her presence at work and appropriate actions can be taken accordingly. It is cost effective in terms of security solution and a scanner is the only requirement. Weakness. The elephant in the room is that once biometric data such as fingerprint is stolen, it's stolen forever. Unlike a password, it cannot be changed. Stolen biometric data can be used to identify users without their knowledge, especially if users are unaware of how their data is stored or collected. Recently, hackers declared that they can remotely hack into Android devices and hijack the device-stored fingerprint. Whether it's remote hacking or the theft of the actual device, once a hacker has access to the device, they also have a lot of data about who the person is. Contribution. This system, because of its high level of security, is used by government for border control, e-passport, national ID. Enterprises use it for payroll management, time and attendance, human resource management, customer identification, financial account management are also managed. Fingerprint biometric system reduces insider fraud activity, has more accountability and governmental compliance. Future work. Over the coming months and years, biometrics will become an increasingly integral part of our lives, we believe. However, when an imposter duplicates the fingerprint scanner into authenticated artificial fingerprint, it's called spoofing. Imposter can build fake biometric identifier. So, fingerprint biometric system must ensure anti-spoofing mechanism. That's all from me today. Thank you. And now Subrata will continue the rest of the presentation.
Hello everyone, my name is Subrata Devnath and I am going to present you the fingerprint recognition techniques using OpenCV. OpenCV is a tool to use for the image processing. So using the similar techniques like using the OpenCV, we can also determine the fingerprint. To determine the fingerprint, we need two algorithms. One is scale invariant feature transform, which is used for database matching, and another one is fin based matcher, which is used for the detection of the fingerprint. This is a screenshot from my computer. In that screenshot, this is my original file, the original image of the fingerprint, and those are the databases. Like I have 4 databases, and in my code what I will do, I will compare this test file with my database. If I find any similarity from that database, then I'm going to say that this file, suppose, is matched to this one. So in my code, I import OpenCV NumPy operating system and just go through the test.tif, which was this one. And if I run this code, and you can see I just show this one. So I get an output of like that. This is my original like original fingerprint image. And let's move to the algorithm part. So the first algorithm is scale invariant feature transform. It is developed by Dr. Louis in 2004. He is a professor from University of British Columbia, and his proposed method is instead of using a small window, he proposed some a algorithm which use a lot of small windows rather than using the big one, because in the small window the bending of the line is too little. But if we use some big window, then the bending of the line might be very big, and it can damage or make some false positive things to recognize a fingerprint. So mainly the algorithm extract the key points from the fingerprint and compute its descriptors. So this is an implementation of the shift algorithm and find out the key points and descriptor. At the very first, I just load the database image, like the image from my database, and go through find out the key point 1 and descriptor 1 for my original file, and key point 2 and descriptor 2 for the file from my database. And this one is the second algorithm. This is named is plane based matcher. It is used like to determine which one is like a good match and which one is a bad match, and it used the lowest proposed method to eliminate the false matches. So in this image you guys can see there are some dot lines which are the false matches, and using that algorithm it eliminates all those key points, and it only keeps the key points which are a good match. So how we determine a good match? It computes the nearest matches of the considered like distance ratio, and if the like value is like below threshold, then this is a good match. Suppose all those points have a below threshold value, so those are the good matches, and those points, those key points have some values which are like above threshold. That is why it becomes the bad match. This is the implementation of this algorithm, in that using the cluster and search algorithm, it finds the good match and the bad matches. This is the last stage of the fingerprint recognition, and in that stage we add the key point detection margin. So you can see this is 0.95, means we to calculate to actually match the fingerprint I use 95%. So there will be some question like what if it's 100%. So if I use 100%, So then I may not find any match to my database of my original image. So this is the recommendation from the authors to use 90 to 95% to get a better result from this code. So this is the output, and the output says that the first value from the database actually matches to our original fingerprint, and this is my original fingerprint. I know it's hard to see, but this is my original one and this is my test one, and those are the lines actually drawn by me, like using the OpenCV, and using those techniques we can determine a fingerprint. And that's all from our side. I believe you guys can learn a lot to how to determine a fingerprint using the Python and OpenCV, and those are our references that we actually go through to for this presentation. And thank you everyone to listen our presentation. Thank you. Hello everyone, my